Good day, CCF family. Welcome to Sunday Fast Track, where you ask real life questions and we give you biblical truths. I'm Jaira De Jose from the Women to Women Ministry, and we are here today with our speaker, Pastor Mike Yap, to answer some of your questions. Hi, Pastor Mike.
Hello.
So, for our first question for you today is, why would Jesus put his life on the line for us, knowing that we and others could possibly reject him?
That's a good question. We have to understand that part of love being passionate is actually being vulnerable. To love even if that love is unresponded to. And that's the very nature of love, that you are actually given the freedom to respond to it, to receive it, or to reject it. Otherwise, it wouldn't be love. It would be coercion, it would be pressure. But Jesus showcases that kind of love to us, that even though we could possibly turn our backs upon Him, He still chooses to love. And that is part of what it means to actually love, to an undying love, to love them until the very end. So I remember because in the last few hours of his life, in the last few days of his life, he enters into Jerusalem knowing that some of those people will later on deny him. He washes the feet of the disciples. One of them is Judas, the other is Peter, who will also betray him and deny him. He goes out on a limb because that's what love does. It goes and does what is passionately real, it endures, and it invites you into it. It doesn't force you. So that's love to me.
Wow, what an amazing love, right? So, for our second love question, when it comes to loving other people, is there such a thing as too much love? Or is there a time for us to withhold love for the good of another?
Yes and no. Let me explain. You will not give, let's say, sugary candy to a child because you love them, you want what's best for them. And if even they ask for that incessantly, you will not give it as a loving parent. In the same manner that you won't give alcohol to an alcoholic or drugs to a drug addict, is because love knows a certain set of boundaries. You love to the full extent, but you know where that love ought to lead the person. And so love is not tolerating or openly just doing whatever the other person does. Love does what is best for that person. So when it comes to too much love, yes, we love, we go all out, we proclaim the truth, we pursue the person. But in the same manner, we do what's best for them. I think of Jesus where he comes in, he dies for us on the cross, he lives a life of service for us, and that exemplifies his love. But one day soon, he will come again, and he will be judge and king. He will make right what is wrong. He will take vengeance upon enemies and bring justice. So you see, there's a perfect balance there. Right now, God accepts us, longs for us, pursues us. And yet there will come a time where that will be judgment, where He will return as king. So right now is the time for us to respond to that love.
Wow, thank you, Pastor Mike. And for our third and final question, these days it's enough effort and trouble just to worry about ourselves, immediate family, and close friends. So, how can we work on growing our compassion towards others, like the lost, like Jesus did?
I was astounded as I prepared for this message. Jesus was so intentional. Even on the cross, even as He hung on that cross, He was still praying, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. He was still taking care of family. He calls upon John to take care of his mom on the cross. And on top of that, he's evangelizing. He's sharing the gospel to a criminal on his side. Guys, that is the love of Christ. It is passionate, intentional, even if he's almost dead. He's bleeding to death. He is suffering on the cross, and yet he is carrying out that compassionate love. He's sharing the reality of his love to these people. So I take that example of Christ and I try to live that way. There's always people in our lives, family, loved ones, co-workers, even strangers that God calls upon us to minister to, even when it's inconvenient, even when it's out of our way, and even if it entails sacrifice or some sort of adjustment on our part, that is the way of Christ.
Wow. Thank you so much, Pastor Mike. We are definitely learning a lot about love and Jesus. And you know what? This Holy Week, we're going to discover even more about who Jesus is in light of the gospel. We invite you to mark your calendars on the last week of March for CCF's Holy Week special video entitled hashtag This is Jesus, the truth we all need, airing on CCF social media channels. And that's it for Sunday's Fast Track. God bless.
Yes.